Oscar Wilde once said, "An economist knows the price of everything, but the value of nothing." As media moves rapidly from a model of scarcity to one of abundance, this saying has ever more meaning. So, there are more stories, more storytellers, and more channels than ever before. So what we're seeing is that the price of traditional content has decreased and the value of people's attention is rising. Technology has challenged every single storytelling business on this planet. In the past, for 100 years of cinema and 60 of television, it was actually gatekeepers who controlled the way that stories were told, delivered, and shared. And that's through distribution formats, release windows, and running times. Now, digital is the future. Media is digital, and stories flow freely across the internet from one platform and device to the next. So the control has shifted somewhere else. It's now in the hands of the audience. Yet, storytellers are still going to the same traditional stakeholders to finance their projects, even though we know this business model is totally broken and there's little money there for all our storytellers. Technology might have taken the power away from the gatekeepers and traditional financiers, but it has certainly given storytellers the most valuable asset they ever could have, and that is a relationship with one's audience. And this relationship is going to sit at the heart of every media business plan in the future. At the moment, we don't treat our audience in a very friendly way. We don't talk with them, we talk at them. We don't listen to what they want, we give them what we think they want. Then we restrict them from seeing us when it's convenient for them. And when they try their hardest to get hold of us, we treat them like criminals. Now, I'm from the independent film world, and I would say that that's one of the most guilty businesses for this. Right through from the development, the production, and the sales of our films, we have absolutely no relationship or contact with our audience until the distributor puts a poster up or puts a video online of the trailer. So it's hardly surprising that there is little or no distribution for most independent films made today. The films I worked on, it was on average 5 years from script to screen. Absolutely no contact, no demand built up. So what we need to do is we need to turn this model on its head. We need to bring the audience in right from the beginning of the storytelling process. We need to treat them as active collaborators and communities we nurture, not passive consumers at the end of a production chain. So now I'm going to give you some examples of how valuable a relationship like this could be. Your audience can provide you with resources and skills that you can't afford. Animator M. Strange built a huge following around his work when he made his first feature, Weird the Strange. He shared every aspect of the filmmaking process with his audience on his YouTube channel. So when he needed help with anything, he just reached out to them and they helped him. So when it finally came, for example, to the DVD and online release of the film, it took just 2 weeks for them to translate it into 17 languages. And one of those was Anthony Burgess's language he wrote for Clockwork Orange, Nasdaq. So that shows fandom. Then your audience is an invaluable tool for research and development. Transmedia projects are incredibly complex and rely on a lot of user design that needs trying out beforehand, and also incredibly difficult to convince financiers. So Lance Weiler, story architect and filmmaker, recently did a beta version of his project, Him, at the Sundance Festival, where he tried it out on the 40,000-strong audience at the festival, alongside an online audience. The story is a kind of Lord of the Flies story world, where adults fall asleep because they contract a sleep virus, leaving the youth to fend for themselves. So the Pandemic 1.0 experience he created for Sundance took place over 120 hours, and it was played by these 40,000 people. He took tons of engagement data on how they had responded using different parts of different media. And this really helped him with the next version of the feature script and also future transmedia design. And then importantly, it helped him find 2 interesting new backers, an NGO, a medical NGO, and a medical foundation who were very interested in looking at the data around pandemic spread. Then your audience can be an important financier. We're seeing the success of many different crowdfunding campaigns on sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. It's common now to see six-figure sums being raised in the space of 3 weeks. And this money is donations, not equity, so it's no strings attached. Then your audience can be an incredibly powerful marketeer and distributor of your work. Director Franny Armstrong, when she made her documentary, Age of Stupid, the climate change documentary, needed to get her film out to her audience really quickly because she wanted everyone, the campaigners and all the different communities, to see it before the the climate change in Copenhagen. So she needed to set up a tool herself to do this, and she set up indie screenings, which enabled her communities to self-organize screenings when and where they wanted to, keep the profits for themselves and for their campaigns. Then finally, your audience can be an invaluable source of data. In the 21st century, data is the new oil. Analyzing personal data sits at the heart of the biggest businesses today. So, as the price of content's dropping, the value of measuring the engagement and attention around this content is only going to rise. So, engaging your audience, proving you have an engaged and loyal audience, and proving you know how to measure them is going to be incredibly important for finding future backers for your projects. So, I'd like to conclude that the audience is the most important stakeholder you could court. The audience is your collaborator, your financier, your marketeer, and your distributor. The audience is your friend. However, the value of friendship is something not easily priced. So I'm going to leave you with something to think about by Albert Einstein. Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Thank you.